Aloha mai kākou from Waimea on Hawaii Island. You're listening to Hawai'i Radio Hour. I'm Kobe Moser, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Naka Nathaniel.
Aloha mai kākou. Mahalo for joining us. On the program today, we have ʻike kūpuna from Uncle Fred Cachola. He shares a powerful story of why he called himself a son of Kohala.
We also have Mele from a Hawai'i-based group mixing reggae, soul, blues, funk, and hip-hop to share songs of triumph.
And we will finish with a moʻolelo from a baker creating innovative delicacies with kalo and other island crops.
News, ʻike kupuna, mele, moʻolelo, and more.
All on today's episode of the Hawai'i Radio Hour at Kahilu.
But first, the news.
Aloha from Nani Waimea. I'm Naka Nathaniel. I'm here with my co-host, Colby Akamu Moser.
We are so glad to have you listening to us today. But before we get started, I have a little souvenir to give you.
Uh-oh.
Open it.
It's a fish!
Freshly caught, I wrestled him and we froze him and brought him all the way home from Alaska.
Seriously, this is straight from Alaska?
It is.
Oh, this is a beautiful salmon. It's
Less than a week old. Can't get any
amazing.
fresher than that.
So you got this in Alaska and you just came back from there? You were...
Yep. We try to go every summer, and my husband his favorite thing in the world is salmon fishing. So we go and spend hours in the lake, or the river, I should say, and cast our lines in there and come home with so much salmon to fill the freezer for a whole year.
You guys probably weren't alone. I know so many other folks that have gone up to Alaska from Hawaii.
You know, every other person on the plane going there is from Hawaii, and everybody has a story of somebody that they know, or they worked in the fisheries when they're in high school. We have so many friends who have moved there. And I think there is just this really special pilina between people from Hawaii and people from Alaska. I think we relate on being sort of outside of the continent. They call it the lower 48. We call it the continent. And they have the same mentality of appreciation for nature and environment and the native culture. They have that island mentality, even though they're a very big, big island.
Yeah, that's so true. You know, I saw a stat recently that in just the last 10 years, the population of Pacific Islanders in Alaska has doubled, and it's almost 20,000 people now.
Wow, I'm not surprised. I mean, we have a lot of friends and family who've moved up there. And it's kind of nice because I think a lot of the Alaska natives like to come to Hawaii during the winter months to warm up, and we love to go there for the summer. So I think a lot of people will live kind of both a Alaska-Hawaii lifestyle, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, so that's sockeye. So we fished in the Kasilof River. We normally fish on the Kenai, but this was a little bit more of a chill vibe. The Kenai gets a little crowded and rowdy, which is also fun. And there was a lot of salmon. I know there was some worries about the salmon population declining, but actually in certain parts of Alaska especially, they're hitting record numbers. And I just experiencing it, I mean, they're swimming shoulder to shoulder up that river. So I don't think that it's a problem there. But also just that whole spawning process, being out there, it just reminded me of how magical nature is, and especially with the salmon, how they spawn and they go back to their onehanau. They go back to the place that they were born. Somehow they're born, they swim down the river, they go into the ocean, and they can swim thousands of miles, even all the way out to Japan. And when it's time to spawn, like 1 to 5 years later, they make that journey back home. And sometimes it takes hundreds of miles to get back to the place that they were born. And they're dodging fish hooks, they're dodging bears and all kinds of predators. It's so cool. And to be out there experiencing it just kind of reminded me of just so much gratitude for where our food comes from and the people that cultivate it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I certainly have a lot of gratitude to you for bringing me this amazing fish. In fact, I may just leave the show right now and just let you solo host. Yeah, while I go and eat this delicious piece of salmon. Mahalo nui. And mahalo nui to everyone for joining us for the Hawai'i Radio Hour.
And we'll be back after this quick message. The Hawai'i Radio Hour, and more importantly, the Hawaii Storytellers Fellowship, is supported by Kamehameha Schools.
Kamehameha Schools has provided funding for the Hawaii Storytellers Fellowship, a program that helps train, coach, and nurture Hawaii's next generation of trusted storytellers.
To learn more about Kamehameha Schools, please visit ksbe.edu.
The Moku'okeawe Paddling Championships took place in Hilo this past weekend. There were thousands of people down at Hilo Bay cheering on the canoe clubs vying for the island championship and a place at the state regatta in Lahaina on August 2nd.
Yes, I heard about that. I was actually scrolling through Instagram yesterday and came across some amazing clips of paddlers in action.
Let me guess, who posted those? Was it Kavix?
Actually, it was. He's so good. I especially love those dramatic slow-mo shots of the paddlers making that hard turn around the flag.
Yeah, he really does an amazing job filming those turns. Our storytelling fellow, Tati Dunhauer, got a chance to talk to Kavika the other day about why he loves capturing these special moments.
Tati, how do you know Uncle Kavika?
Funny story actually. I had some friends and family of mine tagging me in the comments of a post, and it just so happened to be K-Weeks. He got a solid video of me and my crew doing our turn and start. From then on, I followed him and his journey. Every Saturday, like clockwork, I see him down at Bayfront at the races. Always so joyful and always on the move, trying to capture solid content. I've always wondered who's the guy with the camera. So I caught up with him at Bayfront. I'll have him introduce himself.
My name is Kavika Singson, and I grew up here on the Big Island. I graduated from Honoka'a, and basically an island boy and an old island guy now.
And did he say how he got into paddling?
Yes, he did.
Actually, I got started with Kauai Canoe Club. Yeah, I lived in Honoka'a, and then they had a program where they would have a vehicle come to the school and take any kids who wanted to paddle. They would take us to Kauai and paddle and then bring us back home after paddle. So, and all my friends, they lived in Waimea and I lived in Honoka'a. So they started, Kavika, come paddle. So and Kauai had this program. So that's initially how I got me into paddling.
Does he still paddle for Kauai?
He doesn't paddle anymore, but with the connections he's created in the paddling community, he decided to stay around, where he then embarked on his journey into the videography world.
I can paddle. A couple of times people, oh, when you paddle, but I can paddle. I'm in shape, no problem. But when I paddle, then I'm thinking, who's going to get the video? And to me, the videos is more important than me paddling because the videos touch more people. Paddling would just touch my heart. The videos touch a lot of people's hearts. So I gladly sacrifice me paddling to make more people, plus it makes me happy as well. Something I really enjoy doing. But I always had the desire to share the island lifestyle, So over time, it evolved into what I have now, and I taught myself how to do it. So that's why I tend to gravitate to is the local people. And my most precious moment is when I sit down on the beach, far away, and I observe. I observe the aloha on the beach, like the smiles, the layers. I watch it with my camera. I can zoom in. This is a 3,000 millimeter zoom lens. So I can zoom in from far away. Nobody will see me, but I watch the people give each other lays and they give each other hugs. Yeah. That is so heartwarming to me, and I see that. So I try to capture that, and I like to share it. I see the kids playing, or basically the whole that I anonymously sit at a distance and watch and observe, and I capture it, and then I share it. And believe it or not, and I get the most response from stuff like that.
And this is what he does for a living?
Yeah, this is his life. Besides carpentry, he dedicates a lot of his time to creating content for the paddling community, as well as his show, Everything Hawaii, on OC16.
So everything is self-taught. And for me, the creativity was the one huge aspect of what I do, because after I learned how to edit my own videos, everything is self-taught. I put it to my Facebook page, and then eventually people would say, "Oh, it's pretty cool." And I just happened to catch the right person who saw my stuff. Was a producer of the TV show, Everything Hawaii, Mason Farish. Oh. So that's how you see my stuff on social media, and he said, "Oh, cool." He said, "Oh my God, this would be a great adventure TV series." So that's sort of the catalyst and how the video aspect and this thing got evolved.
What surprised you most about Uncle Kavika's videography?
I think what surprised me the most was his willingness to drive over to Hilo every Saturday early in the morning and capture content that we all love and look forward to. He talks about why he enjoys regatta so much and the aloha the people of Hawaii bring to him and his videos.
So whatever you take from it, I hope my little bit of aloha that's in every video that I make can somehow influence you in your decisions or make you smile for the day. So, and that makes me so proud. So now I gravitate towards the regattas, towards the people on the beach, the keiki, the kupuna, and everybody in between, because the aloha that they show me, it touches my heart. So now it's why I make the drive every regatta. I don't ask for money, I don't ask for nothing. My payment is the people on the beach, the smiles that they produce, the lays that they give me. So that's my motivation, just being around really good people with plenty of aloha, because I can compare it to other races that have done other events. You cannot compare. It's my lifestyle. I was born and raised here. And a lot of people who are born and raised here, they can totally relate to the video that they see, especially the people who don't live here anymore. I see the messages from people who used to live here and they live in the mainland, and they see the videos and they go, oh my God, Kavika, thank you so much. I missed my home. Oh, I saw my auntie on the video. For me, that means so much, because, I conveyed the message to them that, yeah, your family over here, they're having a great time, and they want to come back home, or they say, thank you so much for going down there because I saw my family.
Yeah.
So that stuff means a lot to me, so that's my most precious thing that I can, the experience.
Yeah.
You cannot take away from an experience. So all the experiences that I see on the beach every day is gold.
Mm.
Yeah. You get so much aloha right here. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I try to convey in my videos. I do the races, but I don't do just the races. If you notice in my videos, I go to the beach. I'm looking for the kids, the smiles. Anybody with a le po'o or le or flowers in their ear, I guarantee you're gonna be in my video, because that's what I try to convey.
Yeah.
So like someone that steersman or the paddlers, if I see on wahine and she paddling, she has a flower in her ear, I'm gonna take my camera and I'm gonna zoom in on that flower while she's paddling.
Yeah.
Because I want to convey that to everybody who see, the aloha and paddlers. It's awesome. It's pretty cool seeing one chick paddling, and she had the flower in her ear, but she tough as hell when, so all that aspects of paddling, I try to convey to whoever's watching my videos.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I do. And I'm really proud of the fact that the paddlers of the Big Island have plenty of aloha. And they still have the fighting warrior spirit, I like to call it, because, the old Hawaiian warriors, when they went to battle, they was in their canoes. We're doing the same thing, but in a friendly way, in a modern day version of battling out on the water. So the tradition carries on, but in a different aspect. We're not fighting each other, but we are. I like beat you on the left, and I like beat you on the right of me, but still, you my friend.
Yeah.
So I try to convey all these different aspects of a historical point and the friendly banter of competition. So, it takes on a deeper meaning for me when I'm behind the lens. I look for all the little components of our island lifestyle, past, present, and the future, and I capture those things, the smile, like I said, and the raw emotion of the stroke or in 2 or 3 or 4, and then we're doing on that turn, and you see the grit. So I try to zoom in on the emotion at the same time, all these different aspects of paddling. I try to convey it through my lens. So that's what I try to do. I don't know if I can accomplish that, but I'm gonna keep on trying.
It sounds like he really loves what he does, which you can totally see through his videos.
Yeah, the paddling community is super tight-knit with Uncle Kavika. Just recently, he had a mishap in High, and this caught the attention of the paddlers.
Probably 6 or 7 years ago, I was fascinated by drones. It added one different element of capturing the footage, and especially with the technology nowadays, what Kona I fly, and like I said, adds on other dimensions. Because when you video on water, you see the canoes, it's cool.
Yeah.
But now when you're from the air, you see the reef below the water. So when I add the reef, that's why I like Waikoloa and High, because now it adds a different element of canoe paddling. Instead of blue water, you see the reef below. Now if the canoe's moving, you get 15, 20 canoes moving, and your drone moving at the same time. At home, editing my videos, and I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. This is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Drones occasionally have that called a flyaway. Where you just, for whatever reason, there's plenty of anomalies that can happen when other drone in the area, or just you lost a signal for a brief moment. Oh, I was at High. And then all of a sudden, my screen went blank, and I was like, oh no. But they usually have safety features on this drone where it comes back to you, return to home. But it didn't happen, and I had a full battery, but I know my drone will last for 30 minutes. So I was thinking, trying everything I can. Nothing happened, and after 30 minutes, I realized my drone was gone, and I paid like $1,500 for that drone. I was heartbroken, like, oh my God. I was so heartbroken. I said, I'm done for the day. I'm gonna go home, forget about this regatta. That's how heartbroken I was. But this guy next to me, he from Kehoe, he said, "No, I just stay here." So I stayed there, and I got whatever I could with this camera. I know I can get good footage. I have confidence in what I do now.
Yeah.
Before I was not sure, but now I have confidence. So anyway, I did my footage, and as I was doing my edit before I left for Kauai, I was saying, whenever should I mention that I lost my drone? And I debated that because, but the guy who saw me lose my drone, he said, "Why don't you set up a GoFundMe?" And I go, "No, I don't want to do a GoFundMe. I don't want to ask for money from nobody. I'm not that type of person." So I said, "I'm not going to do that." But I did in my brief for about 3 seconds. I mentioned my video at Kauai that that I lost my drone. I was bummed. I guess no more drone, and I left it at that. So I went back home, and then the next morning I get a message from Kwai Chang from Keokaha. He go, "Oh, Kavika, check your Venmo today. We got something for you." And I was like, "Okay." By the end of the day, I had over $3,000 in my Venmo
Oh,
from all the paddlers,
yeah.
from all the canoe clubs. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And I never asked for anything. Out of the goodness of their heart, they started sending me money to replace my drone.
Mm-hmm.
I was speechless. I was blown away. So that's a story that, I never forget. It's a good story to tell, good story to share with the beauty of the aloha that the paddlers have.
Yeah.
I never asked for nothing, but it's just started dropping money and, $10, $5, $50. Someone dropped $1,000.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. The generosity, the aloha that they showed towards me.
Yeah.
So it means a lot, So yeah. So I love that the story, sharing the story of the aloha that the paddling community have.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask for anything, but they went show up for me, and I got me a new drone. So, and actually it was like a blessing in disguise, because a drone that I lost at quite high, which is part of the ecosystem not on there. I got a better one.
Yeah.
Now I can zoom in even better. So, so yeah, it was a blessing in disguise that I lost my drone. The paddling community went show up, and I have an even more profound love and respect for them than I already had,
Yeah.
because they went and say, "Hey, Kavika, we got you, man," and they sure did. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Aw.
That's so sweet. You can totally tell how much that paddling community appreciates him.
1000%. The KVX platform is used to shed light and positivity on an important cultural aspect in Hawaii.
Sometimes you have kids come up to me, "Oh, Uncle, I like to be famous." Like, "Oh, yeah." And so they tell me, and they tell me what lane they're in and what seat they're in. I try to capture them, because it's fun. I like these kids, have their time. They motivate them, go be on video, go to motivate you. Absolutely, let's do it. So I try to capture these kids, and they love seeing themselves. Even the moms and the dads, "Oh, Kavika, thank you so much. I saw my son out there," and yeah. So I love that the response, the back and forth, that you get from the personal feedback is the best.
Yeah.
When you get personal feedback from the mom or the dad or the grandma and say, "Oh, Vika, thank you so much." Like I'm like inside, I'm like, "Oh my God, yes."
My dad actually just texted me. He's like, "Look for a video on KVX. I just saw you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
He's like, "It's the one you have your Keokawa jersey on." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So he's like, "Send it to me." So awesome.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. So that's the hope. That motivates me even more.
Yeah.
When I get stuff like that.
I love this heartfelt story. Mahalo, Tati, for your reporting, and good luck at the races.
Mahalo for letting me share this story.
We will return in a moment.
Welcome back to Waimea and the Hawai'i Radio Hour.
One of the things that we've been doing here on the Hawai'i Radio Hour is taking a close look at how the changes in DC have been affecting us here in Hawaii. On past shows, we've looked at how cuts at the Job Corps, the National Science Foundation, and the Department of Agriculture have had impacts on our island.
One of our passions here at Hawaii Radio Hour is sharing ʻike kupuna. Unfortunately, on today's show, we're going to be sharing a story where the sharing of ʻike kupuna has been impacted by changes in DC.
For more than 5 years, the Kohala Oral History Project has been capturing stories of the kupuna of Kohala. The small team has worked with Kohala High School students to produce a documentary for public television called This is Kohala.
The small team has been capturing the stories of kupuna at the annual Kohala High School reunion around the 4th of July holiday. This year, the crew recorded dozens of interviews.
The interviews were to be used for a documentary celebrating the 100th anniversary of Kohala High School. The Kohala Oral History Project received a six-figure grant to prepare the documentary for the 100th anniversary.
Jocelyn Manuel has been leading the Kohala Oral History Project and has been working with her son Lucas, who is a film student at New York University. Here's a story Uncle Fred Cachola shared with Lucas at the reunion he helped start. Uncle Fred was born and raised in Kohala, but he was sent away to attend school at Kamehameha on Oahu. Here's Uncle Fred.
Growing up without a mother was not easy. Part of my personal life was that. But I think the love of Kohala people, the mana, the spirit of Kohala, the spirit of being free, and the spirit of being supported and loved by many people is what kept me going. It was a very important part. And even here's another instance that this is true. After 2 weeks at Kamehameha, I said, I couldn't stand it. Why couldn't I stand it? I had to wear shoes every day. I had to wear a necktie. I had a long sleeve uniform. I had to sew my patches in it. I had to dress right. I had to look right. My room was inspected every third. It was a military school. It was I mean, the handkerchiefs have to be here. The socks had to be here. This was only the towels. It was so regulated you couldn't believe it. But in a way, the regulation taught me a lot of discipline. But I was having a hard time, and it was a culture shock. It was psychological shock. It was, you know, putting on a uniform, wearing shoes every day, necktie. Every minute of the day was regulated from the time you woke up until you went to bed. And so after 2 weeks, I said to myself, I'm going home. I want to go home. And I was walking to the only public telephone available outside of the school office. And I was walking towards the phone. I was walking past the mailboxes of all the boys. And I saw one mailbox that was full of letters. I said, wow, that guy got a bunch of letters. And the closer I got, I said, that's my box. It's my box. Guess what, Lucas? While I was walking to the phone to call my dad to let him know I want to come home, I see my box full of letters. Immediately I grab them and I said, where they from? And guess what? It's every one of my classmates from Kohala writing me a letter, a personal letter. Bini, Shigera, Tommy, and Kepsi, I be damned. I didn't even know this guy's probably the first letter they wrote in their lives. But it was to me. And so I sat down on a bench right there, and I opened up one or two, and then a third one and a fourth one. And they were all saying the same things. They were all saying the same things. Guess what they were saying? Fred, we're so proud of you. Fred, you're just as smart as anybody else out there. Fred, do good for your family and for the community. Fred, and I said to him, how can I go home? How can I go home with my friends expecting so much of me? With my friends being so proud that I was here. And it began to sink into me, this feeling, Lucas, that you're not Fred Cachola. You're Fred Cachola from Kohala. You're Fred Cachola from Kohala. That I was not just me. I was a representative. I was, as my friends called me and honored me, I'm a son of Kohala. And I'm very proud of that. And I became very proud of that. And I said to myself, I'm going to stay at Kamehameha. I'm going to get straight A's. I'm going to do everything I can. And I did. I think I was 8th in a class of 200, something. I got accepted at every college I applied to. I made the honor roll several times. And I told everybody I was so proud to be, and everybody in Kamehameha knew that I came from Kohala. I made it well known. And so, all my life has been, I've been touched. So when I go to the Kohala reunion, and I see Helen Pa'alua, I see Patsy Botello, I see Shigeo Shimabukuro from New York. And a couple of times, I saw Iwao from Arizona. He's a dentist now in Arizona. He was. It gives me that kind of feeling of Kohala still being Kohala. That the mana, the spirit that nurtured us growing up in Kohala is still there. That spirit of Kohala is still there. We got to keep it alive. We got to keep it for the next youth that are growing up. I want them to grow up with a kind of feeling of freedom, of joy, of enjoying the beautiful environment up there. And knowing the stories about Kamehameha, knowing its history, its legacy, and being proud of that place. And I really, and that's why I helped to create the community reunion 20 years ago, because I don't want the spirit of Kohala to die. I don't want the spirit that nurtured me without a mother, but kept me going. That really kept me going. And so, that's what growing up in Kohala was like. So, I made it 7 years old, and I swear, part of, I think, and I've never been in a hospital except this past few months. It's the first time really I've been in a hospital. And growing up, I never been in a hospital for 85 years or longer. It's pretty damn good. And I believe a lot of that was because of the way we were brought up. I never had soda water, we never had soda water, ice cream and stuff like that, candies. Never. Chewing cane was our snack. Eating guavas and papayas and fish from... The first fish we used to catch was almost guaranteed. We'd clean it, put it in a hot block, and let it dry, because that was lunch. That was lunch. If you're going to be hungry, then catch another one, clean it, put it on the same rock. Now you got 2 fish to eat. You want something on the side? Get some opi. You got opi, you got fish. Simple, clean, healthy, and fun. I mean, That's the kind of childhood I had, and that was great. And I keep telling people, Mark Twain had nothing to do with us. You know, we grew up better than him on the Mississippi River. And Huckleberry Finn and Mark Twain had nothing on the Kohala boys. I mean, we did a hell of a lot more than playing in a muddy river. We had a clean ocean. We had miles of open land that we could, and we were never lost. No, we never lost them.
Lucas recorded this story for the Kohala Oral History Project before Fred Cachola passed away in February 2023. It's one of the many stories that can be found at kohalaoralhistoryproject.com.
The project received a significant part of their funding from the National Endowment for the Humanities, which supports preservation and research in disciplines related to culture and education. Since 2020, the NEH has provided more than $9 million to more than 40 humanities projects in Hawaii.
In the spring, Hawaii organizations received letters saying that their grants were terminated. The National Endowment for the Humanities was one of the targets of the new presidential administration's Department of Government Efficiency.
The Kohala Oral History Project is currently uncertain how they will make up the loss in funding.
Mahalo piha to the Kohala Oral History Project for letting us share Uncle Fred Cachola's story.
We'll be right back.
The Hawai'i Radio Hour is supported by the Abigail Kawananakoa Foundation.
The Abigail Kawananakoa Foundation is dedicated to preserving traditional Hawaiian culture while empowering Hawaiian people.
The foundation is the residual beneficiary of the princess's trust and is her lasting legacy and her ultimate gift to her people.
To learn more about the Abigail Kawananakoa Foundation, please visit kawananakoafoundation.org.
Welcome back to Waimea on the Hawai'i Radio Hour. We're grateful that you're taking time to listen to us.
If you're on the road right now, we appreciate you listening, especially if you're cruising Ali'i Drive down in Kona.
And hopefully you're glad it's no longer a one-way. As Kahilu gets ready to announce its upcoming season, we're looking back at some of the highlights of last season.
Po and the Four Fathers are a local band who really rocked Kahilu last season.
The Hawai'i-based group mixes reggae, soul, blues, funk, and hip-hop to share songs of joy, hardship, and triumph.
Here's Kiliona Young of Po and the Four Fathers.
This song goes way back to 2003. My brother and I were playing with a group called Moi Moia. Most of us based out the Kahilu side. See some of you guys from those days. It has a song called Listen, Ho'olohe, Tika Kuika. Listen, Ho'olohe, Tika Kuika. Olelo Hawaii, Olelo Palikania. The Olelo of the ancient people, the Mashika. Listen, Ho'olohe, Tika Kuika. It's the beginning of healing. It's the beginning of relationships. Listen, Ho'olohe, Tika Kuika. this be? No one seems to care about me. I should have eased down back for a while. 'Cause my brother just lost his wife and his child. And it didn't have to be that way. I should have looked behind the words that he was trying to say to me. And now he's gone, now he's gone. And still he taught me to listen. Ho'olohe, tika kwika, yeah. And now I listen. Ho'olohe, tika kwika. And open up your heart, child. Listen with your heart and your mind. Ho'olohe, tika kwika. When you love every time. Oh yeah. Combining all with the right timing, that's what it's gonna take. We even thinking about surviving. Listen, there's people crying all around you. You wanna help change the world, start with what surrounds you. And ho'olohe to the sounds of this new day. And tika kwika, like our brothers, the Mashika say. Live selfishly, there's a price you're gonna have to pay. Don't let your spirit go astray, child.
Your life now seems a regress. It's funny cause your world and your spirit starts to mess your daily life for stress. You test it out to guess when you're blessed to mess. You're crucified your flesh. Listen closely and you will hear. Listen closely and have no fear. Cause when that's done you're blessed with the heavenly ear. It's part of the gift of all the thoughts you in your ear. You said he talks to you with heart in your head. It's to your heart where the Son of God lies. He said, your world keeps whining. Which one am I finding? He's riding on his wings on fire.
Listen, ho'olohe, tika kwika, yeah. Listen, ho'olohe, tika kwika. And open up your heart, child. Listen with your heart and your mind. Ho'olohe, tika kwika. When you love every time. Tika kwika. Listen, ho'olohe, tika kwika. Listen, ho'olohe, tika kwika. Mahalo.
If you'd like to watch Poe and the Four Fathers, head over to kahilu.tv. Support for the ʻike, kupuna, and moʻolelo portions of the Hawai'i Radio Hour comes from Kate Bell and Tom Blackburn of the Deviants from the Norm.
Without deviation from the norm, progress is not possible.
We will return in a moment.
Aloha, welcome back to the show.
So here's today's last segment, a moʻolelo, a story shared in front of a live audience at Kahilu.
Here's Betsy Tranquilli, also known as Coach T, sharing her moʻolelo.
The itinerary listed Elmore Mountain Bread as the tour's next stop. I've been to Vermont enough times to know that most community gathering spots, all the stores, restaurants, and such, are typically located at the base of mountains. So as our tour bus made its way further and further up the winding road and stopped at a house tucked back in the woods, I could already tell Elmore Mountain Bread was not your typical bakery. I signed up for this field trip hosted by the Bread Bakers Guild of America simply because it was happening at the same time I was in New England visiting family. I saw Bread Field Trip and Vermont, and being a bread baker, I said, I'm in. And so far, it was all interesting enough. We had spent the morning touring a local wheat farm, chatting with farmers, and visiting a stone mill manufacturer. Next, we were heading to a bakery, where the grains moved from the land and into the baker's hands. Little did I know that this next stop would be where the tour would go from interesting enough to a personal and professional awakening. It wasn't just the bakery's remote location or the massive wood-fired brick oven that greeted you upon entering that caught my attention. It was the visionary behind it all, Blair Marvin. As the owner and lone baker, Marvin wasn't just aiming to pump out bread. She was trying to change her entire local food system. Her intention was to make bread the old-fashioned way, using 100% stone-milled local wheat. But when she started her bakery 20 years earlier, the days of New England being the breadbasket of America were long past, and sourcing Vermont grains wasn't easy. So she made a cold call to a farmer, which led to a partnership where the farmer agreed to trial growing wheat and Marvin would buy the first harvest. Her husband, Andrew, then designed and built a 700-pound stone mill they housed in their garage so they could mill these local grains fresh every day. This spawned another new family business, New American Stone Mills, which now supplies these grain mills all over the world. It wasn't long before Marvin went from not being able to source enough local wheat for their bakery needs to an entire Vermont grain-based infrastructure springing up around them. For Marvin, the concept was simple. Throughout history, every community had a farmer, a miller, and a baker that served as the center of the local food system. She believed that by looking to the past, she could find the future of bread and along the way, tackle much bigger problems like food sustainability. I walked away awestruck. Marvin was operating on a whole different level from any baker I'd ever met. She was a total powerhouse. And as a baker, I wanted to be her. But how do you do something like this when you live in a place that has no grain economy to speak of? How do I, as a bread baker, create something similar in Hawaii, where wheat isn't grown and hasn't grown here since the 19th century? It's a question I had been grappling with on some level since I started my sourdough microbakery, Makani Mills, in 2023. We have all heard the statistics. Upwards of 85% of the food in Hawaii is imported. The fact that 100% of the ingredients I need for my bread business are grown elsewhere has never sat right with me. I didn't know it at the time, but in a lot of ways, I was already thinking like Marvin, that to solve the food system problems of today and to make the bread of the future, I had to look to the past. There really isn't a pre-missionary bread history here that I can draw upon. But I was curious if the native plants that sustained people here for generations, canoe crops like kalo, ulu, and uala, could in some way be part of the solution I was seeking. I had been experimenting for a few years already with producing and using kalo and ulu flour for bread making. Up to that point, I sourced all my kalo from the school garden where I teach, snagging any extra they might have from a harvest so I could experiment with flour processing and recipe development. I spent countless hours digging into old scientific journals on the chemical properties of kalo and poi fermentation, pulling any nuggets of knowledge that might be useful on how to best employ these ingredients for baking. But after meeting Marvin and seeing Vermont's grain chain in action, I knew if I wanted to have a greater impact, if I truly wanted to be part of a solution to our complicated and multifaceted problem of food sustainability, I not only had to think bigger, but act bigger. My first goal was to have a bread that included kalo flour as a staple item on my menu every week. To do this, I was going to have to produce a lot more kalo flour, which meant I needed to put down the scientific journals and move outside of my school garden. I had to make connections to the people here and start buying directly from farmers. Slowly, new relationships took root. I began buying 25 pounds, then 50 pounds of corms. The farmers taught me about the different native varieties and which ones might be best for flour making. I worked around my teaching job, early mornings, late nights, weekends, converting these rough corms into a soft lavender powder in order to meet the demand of having enough for weekly bread. By this January, I met the goal set 6 months earlier of offering a taro sourdough on my menu every week. And each week it is my most in-demand bread. The next goal I had was more personal. I understood that shifting towards using more local agriculture in my baking required forging a more direct relationship on my part with these plants. I've always strived to honor both the bread making process and the individual ingredients and how they are brought together. And when we're talking about an ingredient like kalo, there are deeper things to consider beyond just its absorption capacity or its flavor profile. Kalo, similarly to wheat, is one of the oldest cultivated crops in the world. It is not only a primary dietary staple here, but kalo holds an even greater role spiritually in Hawaiian culture. If I was going to use this as a central ingredient, I knew I had to approach this with the right intentions. And I discovered that once you hold the corm in your hands, learn all its parts, harvest it, plant a huli, listen to the stewards of its generational knowledge, and begin connecting all the dots on the social, cultural, political, economical, spiritual, physical, and culinary touch points that kalo intersects, it changes you. There's a kumu in my life that once told me that everyone finds their own way to the culture. It might be through mele or through hula. For me, it was through food. Perhaps not all that surprising of a pathway for an Italian. But Blair Marvin showed me the kind of role bakers can serve in communities, a role that at its best is reciprocal, where the baker supports the local farmer, and the farmer in turn supports the baker, so we together can feed our community. I've learned that canoe crops have always represented this same kind of reciprocal relationship here. We care for the plants, and in turn, they feed and nourish us. My journey in developing a relationship with canoe crops has awakened in me a greater understanding of this place, its history, and its people. It has changed me in ways I never expected and that are still unfolding. This month marked 20 years since I moved to Hawaii. I lived these 20 years here with the acute awareness that I am not from this place. But I wrongly believed that because I wasn't from here, that meant I couldn't allow Hawaii to get inside of me and become part of me. I thought that respecting this place as someone born elsewhere meant I had to maintain an emotional distance. We might not have a grain economy in Hawaii that I can tap into, but connecting with our canoe crops as a baker has shown me that I can be an essential link in our local food chain. And by doing so, perhaps I might find the bread of our future one that is uniquely of this place and for our people. I'm Betsy, and I am from Waimea.
Mahalo to Betsy for sharing that wonderful mo'olelo. And Colby, since you gave me a fish, I want to give you a bagel that Betsy had baked.
Oh, wow. We can have salmon bagels. They go kind of perfectly
Brilliant.
together.
Minded cream cheese maker, right?
Mahalo for the big one. Mahalo to Coach T.
Betsy was a storyteller here, and we plan on hearing more stories from our island home recorded on the stage in front of a live audience.
In fact, we're going to be up on stage on Sunday, August 17th, when Kahilu Theater hosts its open house.
We'll be on stage at 3 p.m. sharing stories from our island home. For more details, please visit kahilu.org. If you're enjoying the show and you have friends and ohana that you think would like to listen to the show, please tell them to search for Hawai'i Radio Hour on YouTube, Spotify, or other podcast outlets.
And you can keep up with what's going on by following us on Instagram and Facebook.
Mahalo for listening. We want to mahalo everyone who made this show possible. The Kohala Oral History Project, Poe and the Four Fathers, and Betsy Tranquilli for getting in front of the microphone. Behind the scenes, we want to mahalo the team at Kahilu. There are plenty of great events on the calendar this summer at Kahilu, and you can find them at kahilu.org.
A very special mahalo to our Hawaii Storytellers Fellows, Jillian Santiago, Mohelani Dupont, and Tati Danar, for their help producing this week's shows.
And if you're away from the islands but don't want to miss out on performances at Kahilu, you can find shows at Kahilu TV. There you can stream Poe and the Four Fathers show. Go to kahilu.tv.
We're also very interested in hearing from you. We like to know what you're doing and where you are when you're listening to the show. You can send us an email or voice memo to aloha@hawaiiradiohour.com. Again, that's aloha@hawaiiradiohour.com.
And here on the show, we say, e ho'olohe I ko kako moku. Listen to our island home.
E ho'olohe I ko ka komoku.
Ahui hau
and aloha.